there, this is Andy from Blessed Man Meditations. Recently, Alex O'Connor from Cosmic Skeptic posted a video containing about 40 arguments for atheism. I have no personal vindictive vendetta against Alex or against any other atheist. I love Alex, and I love all atheists as my fellow people, all created in God's image. But I believe their epistemology is wrong and needs to be responded to. This video will be part of a lengthy series I plan to do in response to each argument Alex makes. So please like this video, comment, and please subscribe. I hope you have a blessed rest of your day.
A new, fast-growing Christian YouTube channel, Redeemed Zoomer, put out a video promisingly called All Atheist Arguments Answered in 10 Minutes. Let's see how he does.
Atheists have a lot of arguments
of evil.
If you were born somewhere else, you wouldn't be a Christian. Okay, and if you were born somewhere else, you wouldn't be an atheist. Everyone's beliefs are shaped by their context.
Well, this just misses the point. Sure, all beliefs are shaped by their geography, but atheists don't claim that there's a God supervising the world who proactively wants everyone to believe in him. If such a God did exist, would we really expect him to reveal himself more strongly and reliably to, say, Americans than to Indonesians? It seems incredibly unlikely and unfair that your chances of being saved, of coming to know the true God, could be determined by where you happen to be born. If atheism is true, however, it's no surprise that where you're born shapes your religious beliefs, because that's what we think religious beliefs are, products of local mythology or political dominance. So yeah, if I was born in Indonesia, I'd probably be a Muslim. But whilst that's exactly what we'd expect if there is no universal God supervising everything and it's all just a product of local mythology, it's nothing like what we'd expect if there were a real universal God. By the way, I call this the genetic fallacy.
How do you know which?
In some ways, this appears to be a version of the divine hiddenness argument because people can give various reasons for why God hides himself. The specific instance that Alex gives here appears to insinuate that God hides himself primarily based on one's geographical location. In other words, according to the argument, people in the West are more blessed because God reveals himself more substantially to those in the West than he does elsewhere. I agree that it would be unfair for God to reveal himself to some but not to others based solely on geography. If it were accurate, the atheist would have a point in this argument. However, I don't feel that it is accurate, however. Also interesting to note is that many people like to say that Christianity is popular in America because of this type of reasoning. Is it odd, though, that Jesus came not to America, but to Jerusalem? Furthermore, is it odd that Christianity originated in Asia, not in America? Christianity flourishes in America despite where it originated, not because of where it originated. Additionally, in an ultimate sense, God does not hide himself from people like to think that he does. Rather, God reveals himself to people through creation and conscience, no matter where you live. If people obey the light that they've been given, no matter where they live, God will give them more light. And since God knows the future and knows who will respond to him if the gospel reaches them, no doubt God will do whatever is necessary to bring the gospel to that person that he knows will respond to his gracious appeal. Christians will contend that God's omniscience and omnipotence will allow for God to send the gospel to the one that he knows will respond to it. There are a couple of Christian apologists who commented on this issue. One such apologist is J. Warner Wallace, author of Cold Case Christianity and Person of Interest. Wallace said, people who are unfamiliar with his journey of faith sometimes seek to explain his conversion from atheism on a basis of geography. It goes something like this: Christians who believe that Christianity is true simply believe that Christianity was true simply because they were raised in a Christian culture. The objection goes on to say that if they were raised in a Muslim culture, they would believe that Islam was true. Wallace says that while it's true that cultural and geographic influences often favor a particular point of view or behavior, our personal experience demonstrates that individuals often make private, independent choices in spite of the accepted beliefs of their culture. As an example, many of us are vegetarians in spite of the fact that the culture is predominantly carnivorous. The history of Christianity also confirms the vast majority of Christian converts concluded that Christianity was true in spite of their geographic location or cultural background. It's kind of what I said before, how it originated in Jerusalem and Asia. It kind of reminds me of that same point, that despite where it originated, the belief system is different throughout the world. Despite that it originated in Jerusalem and Asia, it is popular in America. Then Wallace goes on to talk about the history of the ancient world. He says Christianity emerged in a largely Jewish or pagan culture, a polytheistic mix of religious beliefs within the Roman Empire, completely hostile to the claims of Christianity. Christianity emerged in a very hostile environment. History records the hardship faced by first-century Christians who concluded that Christianity was true and devoted their lives to Jesus. First-century believers did not become Christians because Christianity was the default religion of the time. No, they became Christians in spite of the danger of becoming Christian. In fact, in certain countries presently where Christianity is heavily persecuted, I think of communist China, or in some Muslim countries, people are coming to Christ and placing faith in Christ, saving faith, despite the fact that they know that it could cost them their very lives or the relationships with their families. In China is also has a history of religious suppression related to Christianity. The native culture of China has historically embraced some version of Shintoism or Taoism. While Christian missionaries labored in China for centuries, their efforts were often suppressed by governmental regimes like the Communist Party of China. In spite of this suppression and the cultural inclination toward Shintoism or Taoism, Christianity's continued to grow as an underground movement, while some reporting as many as 130 million Christians now live in China. These believers did not become Christians because Christianity was the default religion of their region or culture. No, they became Christians despite knowing how dangerous it would be for them to be found out. And persecution has been a normal part of Christianity. History has demonstrated that Christianity continues to grow in spite of intense persecution. Christians have historically come to faith in regions where Christianity is not the default region. We just talked about China. Christians have historically come to faith where Christianity is not the default religion. For this reason, Christians are still the most persecuted religious group in the world, particularly in North Korea, Muslim countries, India, China, Vietnam, and the Philippines. These suffering believers did not become Christians because Christianity was the default religion of their region or culture. The history of many of us here in America has been different. While America has clearly been a predominantly Christian nation, our principles of freedom have allowed our citizens to embrace a number of competing religious worldviews without restriction. In fact, a recent Pew Forum poll revealed that Muslims and those who do not affiliate themselves with any religious belief system are the two fastest growing groups in America. Many Christians have come to faith in homes that were hostile or benign to theistic beliefs. In spite of their familial microculture, they converted to Christianity. These believers did not become Christians because Christianity was the default religion of their family. Millions of Christians have historically demonstrated a willingness to embrace the Christian worldview simply because they found it to be true, Wallace says. In many of these situations, Christianity was not the default position of their family, culture, or region or era in history. Wallace himself was not raised in a Christian home. The one man Wallace respected more than anyone else, his earthly father, has always been a committed atheist. Wallace didn't know any outspoken Christians growing up, and Wallace himself was hostile to the claims of Christianity until he was 35 years old. While he had examined a number of Eastern religions, Mormonism, Islam, and the Baha'i faith, he eventually became persuaded by the evidence of the New Testament gospel eyewitness accounts. On the basis of those eyewitness gospel accounts, Wallace began investigating the truth of Christianity and the existence of God. Like so many others, he came to believe Christianity is true not because of his surrounding influences, but on the strength of the case itself. Then Nate Sala, who has a YouTube channel called Wise Disciples, or Wise Disciple, he responded to the claim as well. He said, whether or not anyone is born anywhere says nothing about whether or not a particular view is true or false. He said, if you are born in the West and you think that those of us born in the West have a privilege of being born in a particular culture that embraced, he says, if you were also born in the West, then you and I have had the privilege of being born in a particular culture that embraced science thanks to Christianity several years ago. He said that means that you and I probably accept the theory of relativity. Someone on the other side of the world might never have heard of Einstein or be aware of the theory of relativity. But just because someone on the other side of the world has never heard of Albert Einstein or has never heard of the theory of relativity, does that make relativity true or false? It makes it neither true nor false. Relativity is true whether people believe it or not. So the point being raised is irrelevant to the greater issue. Nate Zhao said, those who believe can give specific reasons for why they believe what they believe. The better question to ask those making this objection is, what good reason does someone have to believe in Jesus? That's where the conversation should begin. Hey there, thanks for joining me today on Blessed Man Meditations. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please check out my other playlists where I went through things like I Don't Have Enough Faith to Be an Atheist by Norm Geisler and Frank Turek, More Than a Carpenter by Josh McDowell, Is Atheism Dead by Eric Metaxas. The videos are still being posted for that one. Is God a Moral Monster by Paul Copan. 101 Bible Contradictions. That is a series of about 9 videos where a list that was created by Muslim scholar Shabir Ali was responded to by some apologists. That's a lengthy series, but it's worthwhile. And also, I'm working on a series through Person of Interest by cold case homicide detective J. Warner Wallace, the former atheist who studied the evidence for Christianity, the claims for Christianity, and turned from his atheism into being a Christian. And there are other apologists out there with a similar story to that of Wallace. So please check those out. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. And thank you for joining me today. Have a blessed day. I see the evidence.